In a quiet valley surrounded by towering mountains, a little sparrow named Kiko lived with her family in a sprawling oak tree. Kiko was the smallest of her siblings, her feathers a plain shade of brown, unlike the others who shone with speckles of gold. She was often overlooked, her tiny voice lost among the louder chirps of her brothers and sisters. Kiko dreamed of being special. She watched as eagles soared high above the clouds and bluebirds sang songs that made the forest stop and listen. "What can I do?" Kiko often asked herself. "I'm just small." One morning the wind began to howl, bending the trees and sending leaves swirling like startled birds. The sky darkened and a storm rolled in, fierce and sudden. Thunder rumbled through the valley as rain began to lash against the oak. Kiko's family huddled close, their wings tucked tightly around each other, but the storm grew wilder. Suddenly, a sharp crack split the air. A branch snapped, sending part of the tree crashing to the ground. Kiko's youngest sister, Nori, was blown from the branches, her tiny wings flapping helplessly against the storm. "Nori!" Kiko cried, her heart pounding. The others shouted for her to stay, but Kiko didn't listen. Without thinking, she launched herself into the furious wind. It tossed her back and forth like a leaf, but she fought against it, her small wings beating harder than they ever had before. Through sheets of rain, Kiko spotted Nori clinging to a swaying bush, her tiny body shivering. Kiko dove down, landing beside her. "Grab my wing!" Kiko shouted over the wind. "I can't," Nori sobbed. "I'll fall." Kiko didn't hesitate. She stretched her wing over Nori, shielding her sister from the pelting rain. With her free wing, she held onto the bush, the wind tearing at her feathers, trying to rip her away. Her body ached, but she didn't let go. Hours passed. The storm raged on, but Kiko stayed rooted beside her sister. At last, the wind began to calm and the rain turned to a gentle mist. The first light of dawn broke over the mountains, painting the valley in soft gold. Nori stirred, looking up at Kiko with wide eyes. "You saved me," she whispered. Kiko smiled faintly, too tired to speak. The rest of the sparrows soon arrived, their voices rising in cries of relief and awe. Kiko's parents scooped up Nori, and her siblings gathered around, chirping excitedly. "You went into the storm?" her brother asked, his eyes wide. "You brought her back," added her sister, amazement in her voice. For the first time, everyone was looking at Kiko, not because she was small, but because she was brave. From that day on, the little sparrow was no longer overlooked. When others spoke of the storm, they told the story of Kiko, the plain brown sparrow who dared to face the wind.